Well, good morning to you. Mark Sudduth, Hurricane Track here. It is now Friday, the 30th of January, 2026, and we are an hour early today. We are doing a lot of storm prep, and I'm going to be getting out in just a little while after the show is done to go set up cameras in preparation for this major winter storm that is going to be taking shape today through tonight and the weekend with huge ramifications for a good chunk of the southeastern United States. I mean, all the way down to the Northwest Caribbean with the very cold air, snow in places that we are not used to seeing it, and maybe even some cold that's cold enough to kill off some of the snakes. Wait till I show you the some of these graphics I've got. Also trying to just kill a little bit of time here while everybody gets on. And I think CJ might have forgotten that we were doing the show early today because I'm the only one here right now, but that's okay. Maybe he'll get the message and join in. This is Talking Weather in case you are brand new, and this is a special edition, if you will. This winter storm, definitely the big story, and that's the main thing that we will be covering. But we have our usual segments as well, for the most part, anyway, here on this fine Friday. I also have you guys right in front of me right here on the YouTube chat, and it is good to see everybody. Nobody's chimed in yet, so maybe we're just being an hour early. Nobody's up yet. Who knows? But we'll proceed and see how things progress. All right, and hopefully we'll have CJ joining in, and we also have a couple of other guests that I have scheduled, and we'll see if they can come on as well to share their points of view for this upcoming major winter storm. All right, so here are the bullet points for today. Yeah, looking at a top 10 snowstorm for North Carolina potentially. And we'll explain all of that. We have a lot to unpack here in 56 minutes. By the way, today we have what's called a hard brick wall out because Scott is coming from South Carolina to help me go set up a few cameras here in eastern North Carolina, and we got a lot to do in a short amount of time today. Anyway, so yeah, I got to get on with it. Florida snow chances going up. That's yeah, and not the Panhandle this time. Actually, down on the peninsula, and then very bitter cold will be spilling in behind this system. And I got an Artemis update for you. As we suspected, impacts already to the schedule of Artemis 2. The weather affects everything we do, including the four brave astronauts that are supposed to fly Artemis, maybe starting February 6th. Don't think that's going to happen. And we'll talk about that and much more. All right. Hey, some folks starting to spill in on the chat now. It must be that early time frame that's throwing everybody off. Um, so yeah, Outer Banker, I am coming up to your area. I'm gonna be in Kitty Hawk tomorrow night. I'll talk about that, but good to see you there, David. I believe, if my memory serves, that's who that is. Uh, the name Outer Banker on the YouTube there. Won't out you completely, sir. But yes, I'll be coming up that way tomorrow. Well, let's get on with it, starting with our segment of national high and low temperatures for yesterday. One of my favorite segments to discuss with you fine folks. We learn a little bit about geography and why these temperatures happen where they do. 86 was the national high yesterday. I asked yesterday if we could do better, America, because yesterday's version of this, the high temp, I believe, was only 78. So we're making progress. 86, there you go. In Fallbrook and Yorba Linda, California, two different areas sharing that high temperature. The low temperature for yesterday was once again Forest Center, Minnesota. That has been tied maybe with Peter Sinks, Utah. I don't know. I mean, it's Forest Center has been the national low for quite a few times. Where are these places? Well, let me show you Fallbrook. That is in Southern Cal. This is the municipality outline. We'll zoom out to give you perspective as to exactly where we're talking about. Between LA and San Diego is where we're looking here near Temecula. So there it is, Fallbrook, and we can zoom in. And like I do on this segment with sometimes very humorous results, we grab the Google Street View person and just plop them down somewhere in the area so that I can show you where we're talking about. And in this situation, we have apparently plopped into some kind of a cul-de-sac deal. Not sure where, but whatever. And this is back from 2025 that the Google Street View people did this. It says St. Peter's Drive, so maybe that's some kind of a church, possibly. But anyway, this is Fallbrook, California, where the national high temperature of 86 took place yesterday. Looks like it's about 86 degrees when they took this picture, doesn't it? It's very nice, especially compared to where things are temperature and weather-wise through a good chunk of the eastern United States. Yep, so there it is, just a little geography for you. And of course, the big reason why it's warm in this area is a big old high pressure sitting over the western United States. Got some good sinking air, and California is nice and toasty. And Yorba Linda is not too far away. I don't want to go to every detail today because we're kind of pressed for time, but this is Fallbrook, California. What about Forest Center, Minnesota? Way up here on the northeast corner of Minnesota, not quite near the Canadian border, but close enough. And very cold, lots of cold sinking air there. And the difference is the air masses. This is cold Arctic air, and it sinks and it just kind of, especially at the low levels, resides like molasses that you have spilled on the table or something, and it just oozes along, especially when it's nice and thick. That's what you get up here. Unfortunately, not a lot of Google Street View action in this area as I try to activate something. We just don't see much. So let's at least click on some of these hiking trail picture things and we can show you what Google has in the area. Beautiful area. This is one picture. This is another one. We have the Boundary Waters canoe area. Anyway, minus 28 for the morning low yesterday for the national low temperature. I'll guarantee you it doesn't look like this. That's for sure. I don't see any wintry scenes, which makes sense because you can't do that when it's minus 28. Not happening. Here's another good picture too. People enjoying it, but not lately because it is frozen up there. All right. All right. Let's move along to a couple things that showed up in my algorithm on the humorous side. I like this. Due to the awful weather conditions, I've just visited our 80-year-old neighbor to ask if she needs anything from the store. Says Al Snow or AI Snow. It's hard to know with these letterings. Is that Al or AI? It looks like Al, but anyway. So yeah, this person went and checked on their 80-year-old neighbor. Turns out she did need something from the store. So I gave her my list too. No point in both of us going out in these freezing, windy, dangerous conditions. Yep. You just executed a master class in strategic outsourcing. Why burn your own bandwidth when you can lever? Oh, this is there must be some kind of a an ad there. Anyway, efficiency is efficiency. You never know when the replies are real or whatever. Can she grab a few bits for me as well? I just thought that was funny. A good one of those kind of dad joke things, right? And I saw this, and I want to remind you folks when you don't do this, you can get in trouble, especially in the Northeast. I think they have laws. This is a school bus going under the little scraper thing there. Pretty clever because these pieces and North Carolinians pay attention to this. I know you can't go and find one of these probably, and I doubt there's anything like this in North Carolina, but you never know. When the snow gets compacted on your roof and your hood and you don't clean it off, it comes flying off and it can hit the vehicle behind you or beside you. And up in the Northeast, it's state law that you got to clear that stuff. So I saw this. I thought that was kind of interesting for sure. I wish everyone had this in their driveway. Maybe that's a little excessive, but you get the point. And again, for those of you in North Carolina and elsewhere that are getting ready to get snow, you should clean that stuff off before you drive. Although I think it's going to be a while before people drive, but we'll get there. I just thought that was funny. Yep. All right, let's take a look over at the chat and see who all we have. Hey, we have quite a few folks that I recognize and a few that I am just seeing for the first time. So thank you for chiming in. So Riverstone Cabins, we had the cold here in Texas last week. East Coast turn this week. You are right. Glad you guys are eventually thawing out over there. I saw where DFW was still that some of the school districts in that area still canceling school and some of those ISDs, the independent school districts, because of the cold and the ice, and Mississippi still struggling, although they're making progress, Tennessee as well. Our friend James Pettis talking about well over, I think he said 100 hours. Let's just look him up for goodness sakes. Might as well find him. James Pettis. Let's see what he said. Come on, really? Oh, I have it spelled wrong. Jamed. Let's get it right, Mark. So James Pettis said somewhere in here, hour 113 hours, and that was 9 hours ago. So you do the math. 113 hours without power. Poor guy. Hang in there. Here's a look at our power line in question. Hasn't been touched. Hoping this changes soon. This is from his neighbor, and this is up there in Tennessee. Yep, it is very, very bad, and they've been dealing with the cold ever since. All right. So, the big story, of course, is the cold and the snow that's coming with it. This big winter storm. We have winter storm warnings in areas that we're not used to seeing on a regular basis. And it is possible, ladies and gentlemen, that we could see snow, actual real snow falling in parts of the Florida Peninsula. People are going to lose their minds. Get ready, it is coming. But this is the big story. So here's the map, and let me refresh it for the latest information and unpack all that we have here. Let's grab the telestrator, and I think for today we will use the bright red color, and let's grab our disappearing little marker there. So first of all, west of the Rockies here, you guys are pretty much stagnant, not personally, but your weather stagnant and just not much happening out here. So we'll put a big check mark for you weather-wise. In terms of impactful weather, you're pretty much good to go. Although the lack of snow in this area here, that's going to be a bigger and bigger story that we will get to. All the action, though, is pretty much east of the Mississippi, and we have hurricane force wind warnings in the offshore waters, storm warnings in the nearshore waters, even in the sounds and some of the rivers. I'll drill down and show you this more. Cold advisories down into the peninsula of Florida, extreme cold warning still for areas that are, some of them without power, very cold Arctic air draining down out of Canada. And with that, some upper level energy, another piece of energy coming in from the Pacific. These are all going to combine. We're going to get a surface low sitting out here that's going to head out to sea. But before it does, we are going to get significant snow and significant wind, and then very, very cold air all the way down into even the northwestern Bahamas. Not the snow and all that, but the cold for sure. All right, so let's take a look at some of these areas, just pinpointing them. This is the weather.gov, and I just kind of bounce around. This is Raleigh. We'll click on Raleigh, and this is their forecast. 90% chance of snow through tomorrow, and then some of these low temperatures in the teens. We just don't see that very often. And 2 to 4 inches, 2 to 4 inches, Saturday through Saturday night, so maybe 8 inches total. These are all going to be subject to change, of course, depending on dry slots and banding and all that good stuff. But widespread, big time snow appears likely. Remember, you've got all of these great graphics here on these different sites, the landing pages of your various weather forecast offices. Raleigh, Wilmington, Morehead City area, Columbia, Greenville, Spartanburg, that region in South Carolina. Pretty easy to find. All right. Speaking of that, let's check on the upstate of South Carolina. Again, this pink winter storm warning, great infographics put out from the local offices. Total snow accumulations between 4 and 8 inches can be expected, and it's expected to rapidly stick to roads because the cold temperatures give us the background state that everything will stick very, very quickly. So I-20, I-77, all these interstates in western North Carolina, 26 coming out of Columbia, you name it, it's going to be slick, and we're going to get blowing snow. This, folks, is going to be a very, very big deal. Sliding south into Florida, I want to take a look at this. Incredible to see what's coming. Mid-20s to low 30s, all the way down into even parts of the Everglades, a freeze watch. Not just frost, but the freeze. And we're going to talk to somebody in just a little while who is in Florida, a little bit farther to the north, and give us some tips on how to handle this from a vegetation standpoint. Karen is in the waiting room. We'll bring her in shortly, as soon as I can. All right, we're already 17 minutes into the hour, so I think we're doing pretty good. But the extreme cold definitely going to affect the southern part of Florida. And look, it's relative. What is extreme for South Florida might not be the same for somebody up north. So no besmirching of our friends in Florida when you look at cold temperatures in the 20s and you're talking minus 28 in Minnesota. It's relative, but for Florida, it is definitely going to be extremely cold. But again, a reminder, use this map here or just the site, weather.gov. You can put in a zip code, for example, New Bern 28560. That is New Bern, North Carolina. Bam, you get the landing page, all this information for you here in the hazardous weather conditions box. And that is stuff that you can click on. And then you scroll down, you can find your point and click forecast info here. And then the all important forecast discussion with just tremendous information here. And I'll read a little bit to you. High confidence continues for a major winter storm to develop with a wide range of snowfall totals. That's going to be the key here. Some people are going to be very upset and they're going to criticize the meteorological community because they get 3 inches of snow. Some people are going to get a foot to 16 inches and they're going to be like, wow, this is the most I've ever seen, and way to go, Weather Service. This is a tricky forecast, believe me. Nevertheless, the watches have all been upgraded to warnings. We even have coastal flood warnings. And then storm watches have, and this is important too, storm warnings for all the marine zones except Pamlico and Pungo rivers. Those are gale warnings. Anybody going out on a boat, forget it. But this is important right here. Eastern North Carolina, several inches of snow is expected, with some swaths seeing 12 to 18 where the banding occurs. And it's not lake effect snow, but similar to lake effect snow, the bands determine the gradients. And gradient here is the snow gradient, how much snow occurs over a certain distance. Strong winds will coincide with the heaviest snow rates. We could get 1 to 2 inches an hour. Near whiteout conditions and even blizzard conditions along the coast, including the Outer Banks, which is where I'm headed tomorrow. So the the average snowfall totals do trend down along the coast, but the high end potential still exists. Very, very windy, 65 miles per hour possible in gusts. Very, very cold, wind chills falling below zero. Moderate to locally significant coastal flooding. When you have the onshore flow, you pile up the water. It's essentially a first cousin to storm surge. All right. And again, you can glean all these kinds of informational tidbits from this map, this homepage right here. And there's no ads, there's no signups, there's no pressure. You just read and look and see, and it's right there, and you pay for it when you pay your taxes. So use it. It's great. It really is. All right. So again, just a few tweets from different areas. I just showed you National Weather Service Newport Moorhead, and here are some of the graphical versions, 8 to 12, and some of this looks like it's even gone up a little bit. I mean, New Bern. I grew up there, possibly a foot of snow or more. Greenville, the home of East Carolina University, 8 to 12 inches. You get the idea. And it's really going to come down to where the banding occurs. Highway 64 out here, US 17, I-95, all going to be very tricky, especially tomorrow night. Greenville Spartanburg area. I wanted to show you this out of South Carolina. Some of their graphics. Obviously, your winter storm warning info, pretty easy to understand. And then some of their totals. And a lot of this has to do, again, with the way convergence happens and these bands that could set up, any dry slots that come in. Snow forecasting. You think hurricane forecasting's rough? This is even harder. And luckily, there's not quite as much at stake in a big winter storm like this versus a major hurricane. Major impacts here, but it's still the winter forecasting, I think, is harder. So, example, Charlotte, 7 inches, possibly. Statesville, along I-40 and then 77 cups up through there, 7 inches. Greenville, Spartanburg, 5 to 6. So in the mountains, you could get a little bit higher amounts, which makes sense with some orographic lift and kind of squeezing out the snow. Otherwise, going to be, oh yeah, the high end, the sort of the worst case scenario, some cases double digit numbers, and then your low end 3 inches in some of these areas. So it's tough, I'm telling you. So do not criticize when it's over if you don't get what you thought. Nobody promised you squat. And if they did, it didn't come from the Weather Service. I assure you that. The warning is for the conditions and what is expected, and it's all based on probability. Hopefully, we understand that by now. All right, so CJ, who I think just forgot we were doing this at 9, which is okay. He and I were texting earlier. Gale watch now, and this is important. We're talking Florida now. For the bays and inland waterways, just don't go boating this weekend if you can avoid it. And this is important: 30 to 40 knots, gust to 50 or 45 knots, 50 miles per hour, and seas up to 10 to 15 feet. This is going to be very problematic, all right? Especially any of these areas that are still in some kind of a recovery mode from Helene and Milton. Maybe damage hasn't been fixed yet. You're waiting on monies to come in, whatever. Yeah, this is going to be problematic over a good swath of the Florida West Coast. So appreciate CJ uh, pointing this out on his Twitter. All right. Ben Knoll, this is a great thread that I want to take a look at with you folks. This weekend's powerful nor'easter, Ben says, will bring moderate to major winter weather impacts. There is sort of a Hurricane Saffir-Simpson scale version. I mean, again, with humans, we have to categorize and code everything so that we can keep up with it in our feeble little minds, I guess. And it works, honestly. And so we do have something to help us with winter weather. It's called the Winter Storm Severity Index. And we're looking at moderate to major impacts for around 35 million people from the southern Appalachians and the mid-Atlantic and down to the southeast coastal plain as well. Extreme impacts are anticipated in a small stretch in far eastern North Carolina, which is where I'm going to be. And I'll talk about that before we wrap things up. In North Carolina's Outer Banks, the weather will be crazy on Saturday night as the bomb cyclone forms. It has earned a storm impact rating of 10 out of 10. Mr. Knoll put this in the Washington Post. You can check that out. And let's see who's in the waiting room real quick. Hey, there's CJ. He made it. A 10 out of 10 for the Cape Hatteras area in North Carolina there. So, hey, good to see you, CJ.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry about that. The earlier time kind of
Yeah, threw a
threw
lot
me
of
through a
people off.
wrench this morning.
That's all right.
But I
But
made it.
you made it, and I just showed your Gale Watch tweet that you
Yeah.
posted, and now I'm looking at this from Ben Knoll. 10 out of 10 on the WSSI for Cape
Wow.
Hatteras. Wind gust could reach 70 to 80 miles per hour, and I'm going to be right out there just north of the Cape Hatteras area. I'm going to be in Kitty Hawk
Right.
tomorrow night. And then
Mhm.
if you go to this link right here, and I'll try to remember to drop it in today's description. If you want to see the winter storm severity index in your town or city for this storm, I surgically extracted that info for about 2,600 affected places. Way to go, Ben. And these are
Wow.
some examples. Southport, North Carolina, extreme. I mean, that's just down the coast from me.
Wow.
Corolla, extreme. Manteo, extreme. Harbinger, there's a great name. The Harbinger of bad. Yeah. And then Monroe, which is near Charlotte, major. So this is a
Yeah.
really, really big deal, folks. And so we're talking about it. That's what we're here for, right?
Yep.
All right. Cold temps and Artemis 2.
Ooh.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for helping me create a beautiful graphic. What a world we live in. Some people like it, some people don't, but at least can create some cool title cards. As we suspected, there are problems because of the cold temperatures. These are some people talking in the past 12 to plus hours that I saw again in my algorithm side of the Twitter. Multiple sources saying a wet dress rehearsal countdown is slipping, so forth and so on. All of this is basically now out of date because NASA has officially rolled it up. They are going
Wow,
to
they've
do,
scrubbed it already.
well, the wet dress
Yeah.
the fuel. That is going to now happen on Monday, February 2nd with this adjustment. The earliest, well, you're right, Cedar, they did scrub it. The earliest launch date is now Sunday, February 8th. A launch date will be set after teams have reviewed the results of the wet dress rehearsal. So now the weather is affecting the return to the moon. That is big. It really, really is. And there's a lot of anxiety around this, I'm sure, because the rocket is sitting out on the launch pad where, and let's just look real quick through the old weather.gov again, temperatures are going to be below freezing. Come on, let's react, Weather Service. Thank you. Let's click right in here to the Cape and let's look at this. 29 degrees Sunday night. Look, again, I'm no engineer and I don't want to speculate anything, but probably a little anxiety about how cold it is considering what happened 40 years ago, a
Yeah.
couple days ago. Just saying. And so a lot of focus is going to be on this. This wet dress is going to be uber important on Monday when they do this. And who knows, CJ, they might even say we have to just wait a little longer because the engineers and everybody are going to have to take a look at this because four
Hmm.
people are going up this time.
Wow.
So, yeah, and a lot of people hoping to go see it. All
Yep.
right, too cold for snakes.
Yeah.
I saw you messaged me this, and I couldn't walk away. I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta address this, and this could actually be some good news.
Yes.
I got nothing against Ron DeSantis, but I never thought that I would be showing a tweet from Ron DeSantis. Now, what's
Right.
interesting, CJ, there's a blue check mark Ron DeSantis, and then there's a gray check mark Ron DeSantis from the
Right.
government. And I was
Right.
a little worried, like, which one is real? And apparently they both are.
Yeah, they
Uh,
both are. This is our governor's I guess you could say personal
right,
account where
right,
he posts more political stuff rather than the
right,
government updates. But
right,
it's definitely a really remarkable I was surprised to see that he made a comment on this as well. So for plenty of Floridians out there, politics notwithstanding from this, there's something that could be really interesting that comes out of this. And that is, we have a huge population mark of invasive snakes in the
right.
Everglades, those
These
Burmese
Burmese
pythons.
pythons. Yep.
And
Not
they,
supposed to be there.
yep, they're causing a lot of havoc out there. There's actually a bounty so that we invite people to come to Florida and hunt them. And you can, I believe, the Florida Department of or the Florida Fish and Wildlife, FWC, does actually provides some form of reward for people
Yep.
that bag so many of them, because they're invasive. They're very harmful to the Everglades environment, but
Sure.
they are very susceptible to cold because in their native habitat in
Right.
Southeast Asia, this really doesn't happen. That part of the
Right.
world is shielded by the Himalayas. So it really doesn't get this cold, and this could cull some of
Yeah.
the python population, especially if that freeze really does make it down to South Florida,
Yep. And you
which,
can see some of the different responses. Hallelujah. I pray for snow in Miami. My dad tells me he was a kid. His Swedish relatives are flying to visit family in Coral Gables. And then
Mhm.
somebody asked Grok, are freezing temperatures good for Burmese pythons and crocodiles? Well, I don't think we have crocodiles down there, right? We have
We
alligators.
do. We actually, they
Oh, the
are
saltwater,
endangered.
right?
There is a Florida crocodile, the
Right.
American crocodile, but that's the only part where they coexist with alligators is down there in
Right.
Miami-Dade.
Probably under 1% crocodiles overall, but
Yeah,
yeah, the comments very interesting.
boot makers right now. It's
Yes, sir.
true.
Yes. So, hey,
Oh,
I know that Matt Clemens out in Colorado will be rooting for that
yes.
frozen snakes. So, if they are, well, if they're that frozen, now this is obviously
Mhm.
generative AI, um, then we have a real problem.
Yeah.
But this gets the point across. But this will be really interesting. We'll be looking for updates from the Florida Fish and Wildlife.
Yep.
Probably search for it, but will this help to bring down that population a little bit? A possible side effect. And to show why this could be happening, this is the cold air that drains down
Hmm.
behind the storm. And look, you're even getting sub-freezing temperatures out over
The
parts of
Gulf
the Gulf
Stream.
Stream.
That is insane.
Wild. And so finally, by 9Z Sunday morning and then 12Z, 7 a.m. Sunday morning, 32 degrees there. And again, this is not your high. This is as close as I can zoom in on the Tidbit site.
Right. That's what
Man,
North
oh man.
Miami-Dade.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, really, really getting that hard freeze down there.
Hmm.
Very problematic for the snakes. And look at this, 23 up here near where we're going to bring in our guest in just a moment to discuss some of this from a vegetative standpoint. Low 20s up to the north. Some of these temperatures up here says 19 down near the um, ocean,
Wow.
but I think in Wilmington, if we get that snowpack, I bet we hit like
Hmm.
9 or 10. But this
Well,
is your 2 meter forecast, usually a little bit over, like it's too high. And again, this is not a high
right.
resolution map. So, yes, hard freeze coming for Florida, which brings me to, and we talked about it over here in the bullet points, snow chances going up, CJ.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Sure.
we're actually seeing some of the models showing a potential for an accumulation, not anything crazy.
Right,
So I want to dismiss that the ground is just too warm right
right.
now. But you could see a light dusting in parts of the greater Tampa Bay area, uh, you know, late Sunday night in or Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Well, usually we look at the HER high resolution rapid refresh
Hmm.
model for severe weather.
Yeah.
And this is your high resolution model, and it's run every hour.
Yep.
This is the 12Z run. You see the snow setting up here, but I want to
Hmm.
focus down here in Florida just for a minute. In fact, let me turn the telestrator on, and we will grab this guy. Watch in this area right through here as we move this through tomorrow. Look at that. Off the Gulf, the cold air comes in, and bam, actual
Hmm.
snow. Cedar Key, all through, you know these counties better than me.
Hmm. So
Um,
you're looking at Levy, Citrus, so areas like Crystal River, Spring Hill, Hernando County, Pasco County,
Look at that.
even into Hillsborough County. So we could see coastal flurries as far south as where I am in southern Sarasota County. And this
Look at
is all
that.
thanks to that. Yep, this is all thanks to that Gulf effect snow.
Right. And you can see the streaks that come off. This is that high res
Hmm.
model picking that up. Snow out over the Atlantic.
That is
Uh,
insane.
Frying Pan Light Tower, which is now a tourist attraction. You could have snow out there with a 984 millibar low. If it was hurricane season, that would be easily a category one.
Hmm.
Side of this, very strong northeast wind funneling in the ocean into the Outer Banks. I will be right up there in Kitty Hawk. Snow all across eastern North and South Carolina, the low country, you're getting it. Maybe Savannah down here. But then parts of the Florida Peninsula cannot wait. Please tag us on the Twitter here at Hurricane Track if you got some snow in that area. Would love to see it. We have our Discord.
Hmm.
Wow.
And I will be out there, Mark,
Yep.
Saturday night into Sunday. I'm gonna probably head up to a bunch of the Tampa Bay area chasers. We've been talking about it. We got Gasparilla this weekend, which is a
Right.
pretty, popular festival. And then we have the NHL Stadium Series. Our Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be taking on the Boston Bruins outdoors at Raymond James Stadium Sunday. So, whoever said it's too warm for hockey in Florida, here's your checkmate.
There you go. Yes, winter has entered the chat.
Yeah.
So, this will all spill down as well. I want to go back to the global models real quick. We'll check the euro and the Western. I remember what Adam told me the other day. I got to remember which extent. Um, North America. There we go. So the cold air does make it down. Look at your your 2 meter temperature. These are your actual temperature forecasts.
Mm-hmm.
One, that cold air spills down all the way even into the Northwest Caribbean, and you see
Yep.
the legend. That's 40 to 50, so chilly. Again, this is
Mm-hmm.
not high resolution. We're looking at a huge chunk of the Western Hemisphere, but you get
Right.
the idea that the very cold air does dip south, making
Yeah.
it all the way into Cuba, the
Mm-hmm.
Bahamas, the Northwest Caribbean, so Grand Cayman, and even parts of Jamaica there, a little bit colder than you're used to. In fact, if you look at the anomaly, quite a bit colder
Wow.
than you're used to.
Yeah.
Massive chunk of air, cold air sagging south. Look at that. That's the culprit. That's it. And the temperature difference and the southern stream and some energy coming out of Canada gives us this storm that is getting ready to crank up. I'm going to jump back on my Zoom here and see that we have Karen. We're going to bring her in. And before we say hello to Karen, I do want to show you that today this is looking pretty good. But over the weekend, I expect the terminals in Wilmington, New Bern, Jacksonville, RDU, Charlotte, Norfolk, just forget it. You're not flying anywhere anytime soon. So if you got to go
Nope.
anywhere, go today. The misery map is going to fill in, but at least today, it's been looking a lot better. All right, let's see if we do have, find my Zoom back here. All right, so we have from Groveland, I think if I remember that correctly, Karen. Can I use your last name, or are we keeping you in the witness protection program?
How about the witness protection program?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have Karen Jenkins.
Hmm.
Sylvia Umstead joining us now from Groveland. So, look, you're one of our supporters and a friend of the project, and you have chimed in about hail. You've chimed in about what happened after Milton, and you chime in about, on our Discord especially, the weather affecting the gardening community in general. What are your thoughts and perspectives on this extreme cold? It's been a while since what, 2010? How long have you
Hmm.
lived in your area, and what are you thinking about this?
Well, I was born and raised here, but
Well,
then
there you go.
we, we did a little exit for 20 years with the Air Force and got to live in crazy places like Alaska.
All right.
So, you know,
Bob Ross
I,
territory.
yeah, I was running around yesterday going, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And Jim looked at me and he says, can you put your we used to live in Alaska britches
Right.
on for a few minutes? You're not going to die,
Right.
Right.
but you know what to do. So, and I'm kind of here on this side of the camera, Mark, to say, I'm here for the hype and I'm choosing to believe it,
Sure.
you know,
This time it's
because,
coming.
well, whether it is or not, that's irrelevant. I've been told it could come, and I'm
Right.
choosing to believe it because, you saw the damage after Milton.
Right.
And I had a lady 2 blocks from me drive to my yard and say, it was all hype. We didn't get a thing. And I'm like, and I'm just looking at her
Right.
like, well, I got a 50-year-old tree in my kitchen. I believe
Yeah.
it,
Right.
you know? So,
Exactly.
you know, just step out of this little box,
Right. Literally.
look out your yard. And, I looked at the weather this morning on National Weather Service and it said, high winds for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have all of your preps done at the latest by tomorrow morning. Well, because, wow, they're saying we could have tropical force storm winds.
Right.
You
Yep.
don't want to be out trying to take care of your
Nope.
stuff in the wind. So,
But this
and
time it's going to be cold,
Yeah.
exactly.
system. And, you've done a lot with just loose term gardening, and you've sent
Right.
me links and stuff over the years that I've known you. This is going to have a significant impact on vegetation as a
Yep.
whole, the horticulture industry,
Yep.
whatever. What is
Hmm.
that community talking about regarding that in Florida?
Well, we have to deal with what we know today, what's actually going to happen. But then I would like to invite everybody to look 3 months down the road. You and
Okay.
I have talked about the after the after.
Yes.
You got the storm, and then you got all the TV crews, and then you got
Hmm.
everybody stuck, who everybody in the rest of the world forgets. The people in Mississippi and Tennessee who still
Right.
don't have power.
Right.
That, you know,
Up on a week.
they're still there and they're still freezing to death. So,
Hmm.
think past that. And what people need to understand is if this thing does hit all the way down to Miami and it freezes out, Florida's the top three vegetable producer
Right.
in the United States. So, that means if they lose everything this weekend, 3 months from now, you're not going to have tomatoes and watermelons because that's all that stuff is being planted now.
How about strawberries? When does that go in?
well, they usually pick strawberries, I think, in April. I kind of stay away from them because
Right,
I'm allergic to them. So
right.
I don't. But,
And
I mean,
what
go ahead.
about like other sensitive vegetation in Florida that's native to Florida that's not used to this? After hurricanes, we see a lot of trees, especially in the Carolinas, that you get the salt burn. And so with this
Right,
kind of a hard freeze coming for possibly a couple of nights in a row, Florida also has a lot of landscaping trees and vegetation that gets shipped elsewhere, I'm assuming,
right.
for as an industry. Like this is
Yeah.
really going to have an impact that could hit our wallets, as you said, months down
Right.
the line.
Hmm.
Well, here's where, I mean, I'm not an expert. I just know what I'm going to do. And so today it's supposed to be 70.
Hmm.
Um, and it's
Lovely.
not going to be so, what I'm going to be doing today is, and Mark, maybe you can explain quickly after I give you my quick list of why this will work is, everything in your yard that you want to protect, you want to get out today and water it very deeply.
Hmm.
And the reason you want to do that is because a stressed out plant is not going to make it, period.
Interesting. All right.
So, so you want to get out today, give them a deep, deep drink of water. And then you want to do like you would your kid. You want to layer on. So you want to protect the roots. And, so I'm going to be watering all my trees, my peach trees and apple trees and
Right.
figs and stuff. And they're all going to get a really super deep drink. And then I have wood chips, thanks to Milton. You know, um, yeah. So I'm going to be this afternoon when I see it's warmed up to, you know, 70 degrees or whatever it gets. I'm going to mulch around the base of all my trees as much as possible
Sure.
because that's going to, the ground's wet and it's going to, the heat's
Yep.
been collecting and then I'm going to
Right.
trap that in there.
Right. Those
So,
ground temperatures still enough that that could help. But I'm wondering,
yeah.
in CJ, it has been really dry in Florida.
Yeah.
Will this watering that you're going to do be enough, or is this drought that we've seen, because it's been exceptionally dry, widespread? Is that going to hurt the situation because there's not a lot of water in the ground to begin with? Seems like there's already stress going on. So this could end
Mm-hmm.
up being
Right.
a big disaster here economically.
Yep.
As you said, that we don't know, you're not going to see it. You're not going to walk
No,
out and
not
see
right
like
away.
Tennessee where everything's, but
Right.
down the line,
Right.
either tomatoes and all the other citrus that's coming out is either not available or extremely expensive. We could be looking at a really big problem. I remember as a kid seeing the news crews showing the orange groves and they were sprinklering them and they would
Yep.
cover it with like a half inch of ice. And I was like, why are they doing that? Well, I still don't understand it, but apparently it helps. And they light these fires and they put different, almost like tarps over stuff to trap any heat you can to keep that
Yep.
hard freeze from coming. But yeah, the impact from this is going to be substantial.
Well, the rule of thumb is every layer over can trap 10 degrees of heat.
Hmm.
So, if it's 27 outside and I've got a big plastic tarp over something, I'm hoping it's 37 in there and that's a layer protection.
Now,
So,
in the area of Florida that you live in around Ocala and that region, it's kind of, I'll call it horse country.
mhm,
And so horses that have been down there for their entire lives, and anybody that says, oh, horses can take this, I'm sorry, but I would think logically a horse that's grown up in Billings, Montana, generations down the line versus ones that are bred for years and years and years
right,
in Central Florida, you're not used to it. It's literally like
right.
taking a human being that's been to South Florida to Anchorage, Alaska. They're going to
Yep.
have problems acclimating.
Yep. Yep.
So, the horses, and it is beautiful country out there. I think this is going to be a problem as well, that
Yep.
protecting these horses. This is not something that is common, thank goodness.
Right. Well, everybody needs to think, you know, hydration for your plants and then hydration for you
Yeah,
because,
I've
it
been doing it.
dries us out as
Mhm.
well.
Get that
And then
Rango look. Anybody remember that movie from 2011? The
Hmm.
the
lizard.
what?
There's a
Oh,
movie. It was computer animated back in 2011 called Rango, and this lizard. It was a chameleon. Johnny Depp did the voice for it. He's out in the desert, and he falls out of this terrarium thing from the car going off the road, and he's sitting there on the highway, and it's so dry and hot. It's got that sun beating down that he just goes like, and his skin falls off. It's all CGI and pretty cool. But that's a real thing. You get that flaky whatever, and
Yep.
yep,
I have to imagine that does translate over to animals. You get dehydrated, they low dew points.
yep, yep.
Literally, Karen or Ursula or Sylvia, whoever you want to call you, it wicks the moisture out of you.
Yep.
Hmm.
And it's, it's going to do the same thing to your plants. So, you know, every single thing you do helps stave off something. And, and Mark, there's going to be, you're going to lose trees, you're going to lose
Yeah,
plants, but,
Yep.
don't lose your head and say, I'm not doing anything.
right.
Do something. Um, Even if it's your, grandma's favorite rose bush, park your car in front of it to block the wind if you have
Yeah,
to, you
something.
know.
Right.
There's some
But
mitigation techniques, and
right,
ask people that have been here
yes,
before. Get on forums, use
Hmm.
your social media,
yep,
and find out, because some of these homes that have just unbelievably sophisticated high-end landscaping, this could cause
Hmm.
economic damage to them as well. And then, of
Yep.
course, we talked about farming, the citrus community. So in your area and your place there, what are some of the plants that you have that you think it could be most at risk?
well, I have guava trees, and let me tell you, they can't handle 30. So
Wow. Yikes.
I'm going to be out there piling on the wood chips, and as best as I can, I'm going to be, trying to cover it as best as I can. What I can. There's just going to be some things I can't do, but
Woo.
Mark, in this
25. Sorry.
in this area, we have thousands of people that live in mobile homes,
Yes.
Hmm.
and crazy Florida with hurricanes, and this might be something you could tell me it's a good idea or not, and to the people listening. But I think if it were me, as far as the water's concerned, because I have a well, so
Hmm.
I'm going to be, down here in Florida, our pipes are seriously exposed because we don't need to
Yeah.
really protect.
Right.
So I'm going to be out there dealing with that. But these mobile homes, the pipes are underneath the trailers, the
Right.
homes.
Right.
And I think if it were me, I would be preparing for like a hurricane and the power's out of,
Sure.
some jugs of water, you know,
Hmm.
um, buckets of water, what you would do for a hurricane. And before I went to bed, I would turn my water off and drain my pipes. I would. I mean, that's just what I would do, because I don't want to wait till Saturday or Sunday, because now
Right.
they've moved it to the hard freeze to
Right.
Sunday afternoon. I don't want to wait till Monday morning to find out I got a busted pipe.
Yeah.
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 You
And
know,
Yeah. And, Karen, a lot of these older homes here in Florida, some of them don't even have furnaces.
right? Yep.
That's
So,
not uncommon, especially in the bigger cities like Tampa and especially in South Florida, like Miami,
right.
Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
Um, one of the things we're going to be worried about around here, there's a lot of coconut palms that grow naturally here. And,
Yep.
this is getting down to the very, bottom of where they can survive. So,
Right.
you could see some of these, more tropical plants, especially if you have them, dying off. One of the
Yep.
things that we do is we pull a lot of our more sensitive plants, we put them in our garage, even though it's,
Yep.
not as
yeah.
insulated, it's still better than being outside.
Sure.
Well, I
Wow.
mean, that's still that 10 degrees potentially
Mhm.
higher than it is outside.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Looking at the weather service, it looks like Saturday night, 23 degrees, Sunday night,
Mhm.
25. So two hard freezes for the central Florida Peninsula area.
Yep.
Mhm.
right down the heart of horse country. The oaks that are through there, and then citrus areas farther south
Yep.
are it's Arcadia, right, CJ?
Yeah,
It's an orange.
Arcadia, the
Yeah,
Florida heartland, as we call it.
there you go.
Yep.
It's gonna be a really damaging hard freeze for a lot of our citrus growers. And Karen, you grew up in Florida. That industry, it's already in decline. It's
You
just
had
another
Yep.
hit
that
for an
bug,
injured.
some creature that came over from China or
Mhm.
something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the
That's
So it's
greening. Yes, the
yeah, the
greening
orange
bug.
greening. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there and a lot of the trees around this area are just now starting to produce again.
Yep.
But
right.
hopefully we've got long-term farmers out there, grove
Yep.
farmers who know, they're going to have their not only their above ground sprinklers going, but they're
Right.
also going to be having the underground sprinklers, water systems going to just encapsulate them. And
Sure.
but if like I said, if you can't do anything at all other than give them a good drink of water today,
Yeah.
give
Mhm.
them time to soak up that water, because the less stress your plant has, the less it has to recover from.
Right.
Makes sense. Logic there.
So
Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour before we roll things up. And Karen, stay on just for a minute because I want you'll be watching, hopefully. I'm going to talk about our plans for covering this because it is a home game for me.
yep.
So I'm going to finish up here in just a few minutes, and then Scott, who has come down from South Carolina, he's going to help me go set up some cameras between here and New Bern, which is where I grew up. So we're going to cover the Highway 17 area, New Bern, Jacksonville, and then I'm going to put a few here in Wilmington. And we're going to watch what's happening from that perspective. That'll all be on the Hurricane Track Insider site, and we'll have a live YouTube feed of it going as well. Then tomorrow, CJ and I both will be out at different times,
Hmm.
and we'll have the vehicle cams going. I know I'm going to have mine up and running around 11. We'll start the live stream up probably tonight sometime. CJ and I will coordinate that. He helps on the back end team of all of this to make it work. But I'm going to take a couple of my kids with me, and we're going to go up to Clayton, North Carolina, and visit some more of my kids and grandkid. Still getting used to saying that, Karen. Um, and show him some snow and see him throw a temper tantrum because he probably doesn't like it. He'll learn when he's older, or maybe he'll love it. Who knows? And then the really big adventure begins. I'm going to take Daphne and Mallory and her fiance, and we're going to go up to Kitty Hawk and get into that area where the blizzard conditions, maybe 60, 70 mile per hour wind, and we're going to show you the craziness of this in eastern North Carolina. This is not Watertown, New York. We're not going to be
Nope.
up in the Hudson Valley, the Badlands of South Dakota. I've done that. The plains of Kansas, done that. We're going to be talking about eastern North Carolina, where Karen too, we have an agricultural area, but up here everything's pretty much waiting. We do the corn and the soybeans and all that later,
Yep.
but
Right.
it's open plains out there, and the wind is going to scream down from the north and northeast, and we're going to show it to you. So, CJ, you're going to go and hopefully show us some snow in Florida.
Yeah, so it looks like there is a slight, I'm going to say very slight caveat here, potential for even a brief accumulation, maybe a dusting of snow up in the nature coast. So you're talking Hernando, Pasco County, Citrus
Right.
counties, as well as the potential for flurries the entire way down here into Sarasota County. So I'm going to be heading out that Saturday, probably Saturday evening around 5, 6 o'clock. I want to give time for the shenanigans with
Yeah.
Gasparilla to clear
Right.
out. And then I'm going to head up towards, Tampa and points north and really sit and kind of watch, does this actually happen? But
Right.
I'll
And you
be
know how to use your
observing.
radar scope to detect the
Mhm.
frozen precip versus just regular
Exactly.
people activity. And you'll literally be chasing snow
Yeah.
potentially in the Florida Peninsula. Like,
Yeah. And then potentially during the day, I may try to get up. Mark, our Gulf Coast is known for its very, docile conditions, very beautiful,
right.
calming seas. We could have seas even in our inland bays, 12 to 15 feet with 50-mile-per-hour gusts
It
here
would
at
be
my
cool
house.
if you could get to Cedar
Yeah,
Key.
that's the idea, to get out there and kind of see how this is
Sure.
shaping up, because I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you, usually the biggest waves I've seen probably about 10 feet here, when
Uh,
Michael went past.
yeah,
But these waves, they're not surfable. So for any of you that are watching from the
right.
East Coast that are going to want to come over and don't surf, and even if you did, you would need a wetsuit because the water is
Right.
going to be too cold.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is going to be very dangerous boating weather
Hmm.
this weekend. So
Sit
unless
it
you
out.
have to be out
Sit
on the
it out.
water,
Yep.
don't.
Right. Lots of college basketball to watch this weekend, so enjoy
Yeah.
that. Watch our YouTube stream and all the other folks that are going to be chasing. I've seen quite a few of the big names saying, I'm headed to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I'm like, welcome to my hometown area.
Yep.
Karen, thank you for jumping on with us. I'm going to get ready
Hey,
to roll this up.
hey,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes, ma'am.
can I give a closing tip in my part of the
Please.
believing the hype? I would like to ask everybody who's watching this, and I don't care where you're at, is do everything today that you can. And the reason I'm saying is a lot of people wait till the last
They
minute
do.
and they wear themselves out running around getting stuff
Sure.
done.
Get
You
very
may or
anxious.
may not get it done, but
Right.
I want people to think um, safety, and this is going to sound crazy, but don't wear yourself out 5 minutes before the storm gets here, and you're forced to sleep through it when you need to be awake.
That's a good point. And that, certainly relatable to hurricane season. I have to remember that.
Yeah,
That's an excellent point.
yeah. If I can do it today, I'm going to do it because
Right.
you know I'd rather you go to bed tonight, worn slap out, and be rested when the thing does come tomorrow.
Agreed.
Because you don't want to be so tired you crawl in bed and your heat goes out and
Right.
you're so exhausted that you wake up a popsicle the next morning.
Sure.
Just don't go
Right.
there. Do it today.
That's a good
Believe the
point.
hype, expect the worst, and praise the Lord if you didn't get nothing.
Exactly. And don't go
Exactly.
blaming people if it didn't happen to you. Like, just be grateful. We need some more of that. Well, I appreciate it, man. Both of you, Karen or Ursula or Sylvia, whatever we call you.
Now you can call me Karen.
I know, right? It's
They
up.
my name is a cuss word. Okay.
You know what? I didn't even think about that until you mentioned it. But we appreciate you coming on and giving a
Of
local
course.
perspective. She's very active on our Discord, and we'll see how things shake out. CJ, good luck to you. I'll be in touch with you
Yes,
about
sir.
getting the computer ready and all the cams. Scott's probably here in just a moment. It's the top of the hour. Normally, when we do talking weather, it would start now. Monday, we will be back at 10 a.m. and we will see
We will.
how things played out. And I'm guaranteeing you it's going to be an interesting show Monday. We look forward to seeing you then. Thanks as always for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth for Hurricane Track, our wonderful community here. Karen and CJ, good to see y'all. I'll see you next
Absolutely.
out on the road. Be safe out there.
Have a
See
good
you
one.
Monday.